In a world where notifications buzz incessantly, screens demand our attention, and our minds are pulled in countless directions, the ability to focus has become one of the most precious skills we can cultivate. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." These words, penned nearly 2,000 years ago, feel surprisingly relevant today. The Stoics understood that focus isn't just about productivity, it's about reclaiming control over your inner world in the face of chaos. In this video, we'll explore timeless Stoic principles like cognitive detachment, resilience, and presence, and how they can help you cut through distractions and anchor your attention where it truly matters. Whether you're battling a flood of emails, the lure of social media, or the noise of daily life, Stoicism offers a path to clarity and purpose. Let's dive in and discover how you can train your mind to stay focused in an age of constant distraction. What if our distractions aren't the problem, but rather how we react to them? This is where the Stoic concept of cognitive detachment comes into play. The Stoics teach us that while external distractions like noise, interruptions, or even social media notifications are beyond our control, how we respond to them is entirely up to us. It's about shifting our mindset from being swept away by the chaos to calmly observing it without letting it dictate our focus. Seneca, one of the great Stoic philosophers, often spoke about the importance of mentally stepping back. He believed that by creating a mental distance from what's happening around us, we can maintain clarity and purpose even in the midst of turmoil. Think about it this way. When your phone buzzes with a notification, it's not the notification itself that disrupts you, it's the impulse to immediately check it. What if instead you chose to pause, acknowledge it, and decide when to engage? That small act of detachment allows you to reclaim your focus rather than surrendering it to the distraction. It's a practical way to apply Stoic wisdom in our modern, hyper-connected lives. So, here's a question to reflect on. What distractions do you react to most, and how can you begin to detach from them? Epictetus, one of the great Stoic philosophers, often reminded his students that the present moment is the only reality we truly possess. He argued that dwelling on the past or anxiously anticipating the future only robs us of the power to act meaningfully right now. This idea isn't just ancient wisdom, it's a timeless tool for staying grounded in a world that constantly pulls us in 100 directions. Stoicism teaches us to focus on the here and now, not as a passive act, but as a deliberate choice to reclaim our attention and energy from distractions. Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor and Stoic thinker, once wrote, "You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think." It's a stark reminder of how fleeting time truly is. Every moment we spend worrying about what's already happened or what might happen is a moment we lose forever. The Stoic approach invites us to shift our perspective. Instead of being overwhelmed by regrets or anxieties, we can choose to invest our time in the tasks and people right in front of us. So how can we apply this in our daily lives? One practical step is to carve out specific times for deep, focused work moments where we commit to a single task without the temptation of multitasking. Whether it's writing a report, having a meaningful conversation, or even just enjoying a meal, the key is to be fully present. It's not about eliminating distractions entirely, but about recognizing that our attention is a limited resource and directing it purposefully. Here's a question to reflect on. What can you do today to be fully present in just one task? It doesn't have to be something grand or life-changing. Even something as simple as savoring your morning coffee or listening intently to a friend can become a small act of Stoic practice. The power of presence lies in its simplicity. When we focus on the moment, we regain control over our thoughts and actions, and in doing so, we find a deeper sense of clarity and calm. Our focus is shaped by how we perceive distractions. This is a core Stoic principle. It's not the events themselves that disrupt us, but our judgments about them. As Epictetus once taught, it's not what happens to us that matters most, but how we interpret and respond to it. Think about it. A noisy environment, for example, doesn't have to be a barrier to concentration. Instead, it can become an opportunity to sharpen your focus. When you hear commotion, rather than letting frustration take over, you can choose to see it as a challenge, a chance to train your mind to stay calm and centered amidst chaos. This shift in perception transforms what feels like a distraction into a tool for growth. So, how can you reframe the distractions in your own life? Instead of viewing them as obstacles, what if you saw them as invitations to practice focus, patience, and resilience? This simple change in perspective can make all the difference. Let's redefine focus for a moment. What if I told you that focus isn't something you're either born with or without? What if it's not a skill at all, but a discipline, a practice that demands consistent effort, like building muscle or mastering an instrument? This is how the Stoics saw it. They believed attention wasn't something you simply had. It was something you cultivated day in and day out. Seneca, one of Stoicism's great teachers, wrote extensively about the importance of guarding the mind. He warned that the world is full of distractions, and if you don't actively protect your attention, it will be pulled in countless directions, leaving you scattered and ineffective. Think about this in today's context. We're surrounded by technology designed to hijack our focus, notifications, endless scrolls, and algorithms optimized to keep us hooked. The Stoic method for staying focused isn't about eliminating these distractions entirely. That's nearly impossible, but about setting boundaries. It's about deciding intentionally where you want to direct your attention and then protecting that decision. So here's a practical step to start. What small habit can you adopt today to discipline your attention? Maybe it's turning off notifications for an hour each morning, or committing to single tasking instead of multitasking. These might seem like tiny changes, but over time they add up. The Stoics knew that mastery begins with small, repeated actions, and the same is true for focus. It's not about being perfect, it's about being consistent. What's one thing you can do today to take control of your attention? At the heart of Stoic philosophy lies a powerful principle known as the Dichotomy of Control. It's the idea that everything in life falls into one of two categories: things we can control and things we cannot. Understanding this distinction is like holding a mental filter that helps us focus on what truly matters while letting go of what doesn't. As the Stoic philosopher Epictetus once said, "Some things are in our control and others not." If you focus on what's within your control, you'll find peace. If you fixate on what's outside it, you'll only invite frustration. Imagine you're trying to concentrate on an important task, but the noise from traffic outside keeps breaking your focus. You can't control the cars honking or the engines revving, but you can control how you respond to it. Instead of letting the noise irritate you, you might choose to put on headphones, move to a quieter room, or simply accept the distraction without letting it derail your progress. By focusing on your response rather than the noise itself, you reclaim your mental energy and stay grounded. This principle applies to countless situations in our lives. Whether it's the weather, other people's opinions, or unexpected delays, so much of what distracts us lies completely outside our influence. The key is to recognize these distractions for what they are: uncontrollable, and then redirect your attention to what you can change: your mindset, your actions, your priorities. So here's a question to reflect on. What's one thing in your life that you're trying to control but shouldn't be? Is it a habit of overthinking others' decisions, or maybe an obsession with achieving a perfect outcome? Often, the act of letting go frees up mental space, allowing you to focus on what truly matters. When we stop wasting energy on the uncontrollable, we create room for clarity, purpose, and intentional action. That's the real power of the dichotomy of control. It's not just a philosophy, but a practical tool for staying focused in a world full of distractions. Why do we lose focus so easily when faced with interruptions? It's a question many of us grapple with daily, especially in a world filled with constant distractions. The truth is, interruptions aren't just external, they're also internal. We react to them emotionally, letting frustration or anxiety take over, which pulls us further away from our goals. But Stoicism offers a powerful perspective on this challenge. It teaches us to build resilience by accepting disruptions as a natural part of life, rather than fighting against them. Marcus Aurelius, one of Stoicism's most influential figures, wrote extensively about enduring challenges without losing inner peace. He reminded himself that external events are beyond his control, but his response to them is entirely within his power. Imagine your day is filled with unexpected calls, urgent emails, and a to-do list that keeps growing. Instead of letting the chaos overwhelm you, Stoicism invites you to pause and ask, what can I control here? By focusing on your response rather than the interruption itself, you regain a sense of calm and clarity. Think about a time when your day spiraled out of control. Maybe your morning routine was interrupted, or a colleague needed your help with an urgent task. In those moments, it's easy to feel frustrated and lose focus. But Stoicism encourages us to see these disruptions not as obstacles, but as opportunities to practice patience and resilience. Instead of resisting the chaos, embrace it as a chance to strengthen your ability to stay centered. So, how can you build this kind of resilience to maintain focus when life gets unpredictable? Start by shifting your mindset. View interruptions as tests of your Stoic practice, moments to exercise your ability to remain calm and focused. When you encounter a distraction, take a deep breath and remind yourself, this is just one moment in my day. I can choose how I respond. Over time, this mindset becomes a habit, helping you navigate life's unpredictability with greater ease and focus. Picture this: the sun is just beginning to rise, the world is still quiet, and you have a precious moment to yourself before the day's demands take over. How you use this time can shape everything that follows. For the Stoics, mornings weren't just about waking up, they were about waking up with intention. Marcus Aurelius, one of history's most famous Stoics, began each day with a simple yet profound practice: reflection. He would remind himself of the challenges he might face, the virtues he needed to embody, and the transient nature of life. It was a way to ground himself, to prepare mentally and emotionally for whatever the day might bring. So, how can we bring this ancient wisdom into our modern lives? One powerful way is through a morning ritual tailored to your needs. It could be as simple as journaling your thoughts, meditating on your goals, or even taking a few quiet moments to breathe deeply and set your intentions. The key is consistency. Whatever you choose, make it a habit. As Seneca once wrote, each day acquire something that will fortify you against poverty, against death, indeed against other misfortunes as well. Morning rituals aren't just about productivity or checking off a to-do list. They're about creating a foundation of focus and clarity that carries you through the day. Think of it as sharpening your mental tools before stepping into the workshop of life. So, here's a question to ponder. What's one small thing you can do each morning to center your focus and prepare for the day ahead? It doesn't have to be grand or time-consuming. Even a few minutes of intentionality can make a world of difference. Stoicism is mindfulness in practice. It's not just about ideas or philosophies, it's about actively observing your thoughts, emotions, and actions in the present moment. The Stoics believed that true freedom comes from understanding what's within your control and what isn't, and that starts with awareness. Epictetus, one of the great Stoic teachers, emphasized the importance of watching your mind without judgment. He said, first, say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do. This isn't about harsh self-criticism, but about stepping back and seeing clearly, like a calm observer. Think about a moment when you felt overwhelmed or reactive. Maybe a stressful email landed in your inbox, and your first instinct was to fire off a quick reply. The Stoic approach would be to pause, take a breath, and ask yourself, is this reaction serving me? Is it aligned with my values? That small moment of mindfulness can transform the entire interaction. It's not about suppressing emotions, but about choosing how to act on them. So how can you bring this kind of mindfulness into your daily tasks? Start small. When you're about to make a decision, ask yourself, am I acting out of habit or am I making a conscious choice? When you're frustrated, notice the feeling without letting it dictate your behavior. These simple acts of awareness can help you stay grounded, even in the chaos of a distracted world. Mindfulness isn't just a buzzword, it's a tool the Stoics used to stay focused, intentional, and free. What's weighing on your mind and stealing your focus? It's easy to let thoughts pile up, creating a mental clutter that pulls us away from what truly matters. The Stoics understood this deeply. Seneca once wrote about how unnecessary worries burden the mind, comparing it to carrying around a heavy load that slows us down. He believed that by letting go of what we cannot control, we free ourselves to focus on what we can. Think of it like decluttering a workspace. When you clear away the unnecessary, you create room for clarity and productivity. So, what's one thing you need to let go of to regain your focus? Whether it's a lingering worry, an unproductive habit, or even a physical distraction, identifying it is the first step toward reclaiming your mental space. The art of letting go isn't about ignoring your problems, it's about choosing where to direct your energy. By releasing what doesn't serve you, you open the door to greater focus and purpose. Focus requires boundaries. The Stoics understood this deeply, recognizing that our minds are like gardens. Without clear fences, external distractions will trample our thoughts. Marcus Aurelius, one of history's most renowned Stoic thinkers, often wrote about the importance of guarding the mind against the chaos of the outside world. He believed that while we can't control everything around us, we can control what we allow into our mental space. This isn't about shutting out the world entirely, but about creating intentional barriers that protect our focus and energy. One practical way to build these mental boundaries is by limiting the constant influx of information. Think about how often your phone buzzes with notifications, pulling your attention away from what truly matters. The Stoics would argue that these interruptions aren't just annoying, they're a threat to your inner peace and productivity. A simple but powerful practice is to turn off notifications during work hours. This small act creates a deliberate boundary, allowing you to reclaim your focus and prioritize what deserves your attention. So, what boundaries can you set to protect your focus? It might mean carving out specific times for deep work without distractions, or perhaps creating a physical space dedicated solely to concentration. The key is to be intentional about what you let in and what you keep out. By doing this, you're not just managing your time, you're safeguarding your mental clarity, just as the Stoics taught us to do. Why do we expect perfection in a world full of distractions? It's a question worth asking because, let's face it, life is messy. The Stoics understood this better than anyone. They believed that imperfection isn't just inevitable, it's natural. Epictetus, one of the great Stoic philosophers, taught that accepting life's flaws is the first step toward inner peace. He famously said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." In other words, the world will always throw distractions your way and you'll stumble. That's part of being human. What matters is how you respond. Think about it. How often do you beat yourself up for losing focus during a busy day? Maybe you planned to finish a project but got sidetracked by emails, notifications, or even your own wandering thoughts. Instead of berating yourself, what if you simply acknowledged the slip and moved forward? That's the Stoic approach. It's not about pretending distractions don't exist or that you're immune to them. It's about recognizing them as part of the process and not letting them derail your progress. Here's a practical way to apply this. The next time you find yourself distracted, pause for a moment. Remind yourself that imperfection doesn't mean failure. It's an opportunity to refocus and recommit. Forgive yourself for the lapse and then gently guide your attention back to what truly matters. This isn't about being flawless, it's about being resilient. So, how can you embrace imperfection and still stay focused? Start by shifting your mindset. Instead of aiming for perfection, aim for consistency. Focus on the effort, not the outcome. Each moment you choose to refocus is a victory in itself. Remember, the Stoics weren't perfect either. They just practiced responding to life's imperfections with grace and determination. And that's something we can all strive for. Now, let's talk about something simple yet profoundly effective, the Stoic Pause. Imagine this: you're about to react to a frustrating email, or maybe you're mindlessly reaching for your phone to scroll through social media. In that moment before you act, there's a small but powerful space. That's the Stoic Pause. It's not just a pause, it's a deliberate moment of reflection, a chance to step back and ask yourself, is this the right response? Is this how I want to spend my energy? Seneca, one of the great Stoic philosophers, encouraged this practice, reminding us that taking even a brief moment to respond thoughtfully, rather than react impulsively, can make all the difference. Think about it. How often do we act on autopilot, letting distractions or emotions steer us? The Stoic Pause interrupts that cycle. It's like hitting the reset button on your focus. For instance, instead of instinctively grabbing your phone during a moment of boredom, you pause. You ask yourself, is this the best use of my time right now? That small act of awareness can shift your entire trajectory, keeping you aligned with your priorities rather than getting pulled into the noise of the world. So, where could you insert a Stoic pause in your day? Maybe it's before you reply to a heated text, or perhaps it's when you feel the urge to procrastinate. By creating these intentional moments of stillness, you reclaim control over your attention and actions. It's not about eliminating distractions entirely, it's about managing your response to them. And in that pause, you'll find clarity, focus, and a deeper sense of purpose. Gratitude anchors our focus, grounding us in the present moment when distractions threaten to pull us away. For the Stoics, gratitude wasn't just a fleeting feeling. It was a deliberate practice, a tool to cultivate clarity and resilience. Marcus Aurelius, one of Stoicism's most famous practitioners, often reflected on the power of appreciation in his meditations. He reminded himself to savor the simple things, like the warmth of the sun or the kindness of a friend, as a way to stay centered amidst life's chaos. This act of noticing and acknowledging the good around us isn't just sentimental, it's strategic. By focusing on what we're grateful for, we train our minds to resist the pull of distractions and align with what truly matters. To bring this ancient wisdom into your daily routine, try this simple practice. Each morning, take a moment to list 3 things you're grateful for. It could be as small as a good cup of coffee or as profound as the support of a loved one. This exercise doesn't just start your day on a positive note, it sharpens your focus by reminding you of what's worth your attention. So, how can gratitude help you stay focused today? Perhaps it's by shifting your perspective away from what's lacking and toward what's already abundant in your life. Or maybe it's by creating a mental anchor that keeps you steady, no matter how turbulent the world around you becomes. Gratitude isn't just a feeling, it's a practice, and like any practice, it grows stronger with consistency. Does your environment support your focus, or does it pull your attention in a dozen different directions? The Stoics believed that our surroundings play a crucial role in shaping our thoughts and actions. Epictetus, one of the great Stoic philosophers, emphasized the importance of cultivating an uncluttered mind, and often that starts with an uncluttered space. He taught that external chaos can seep into our internal world, making it harder to think clearly or stay present. By simplifying our environment, we create a foundation for focus and intentionality. Take your workspace, for example. A desk piled with papers, scattered gadgets, and endless to-do lists can feel overwhelming. But when you intentionally organize that space, clearing away what isn't essential and keeping only what serves your purpose, the mind follows suit. It's not just about tidiness, it's about creating a physical environment that reflects the clarity and discipline you're striving for internally. This isn't a modern idea, it's a timeless principle rooted in Stoic philosophy. So how can you apply this in your own life? Start small. Look around and ask yourself, what's one way you can simplify your environment to improve focus? Maybe it's decluttering your desk, turning off notifications on your phone, or even rearranging a room to feel more open and purposeful. The goal isn't perfection, but progress. Every step you take toward creating a simpler, more intentional space is a step toward a clearer, more focused mind. As the day winds down and the noise of the world begins to fade, the Stoics believed in the power of reflection to sharpen the mind and strengthen focus. This wasn't just a casual glance back at the day, but a deliberate practice of examining actions, thoughts, and even distractions. Seneca, one of Stoicism's most influential thinkers, made this a nightly ritual. He would sit in quiet contemplation, asking himself questions like, what did I do well today? Where did I fall short? What distractions pulled me away from what truly mattered? This wasn't about harsh self-criticism, but about learning and growing, about becoming more intentional with each passing day. In our modern, fast-paced lives, this practice can feel foreign, but it's more relevant than ever. Imagine taking just 10 minutes before bed to sit with a journal and write about your day. What were the moments when you felt most focused? What pulled you away from your priorities? Maybe it was the endless scroll on your phone, a conversation that left you drained, or a task that felt urgent but wasn't truly important. By reflecting on these moments, you're not just cataloging events, you're training your mind to recognize patterns and make better choices tomorrow. As Marcus Aurelius once wrote, when you have trouble getting out of bed in the morning, remember that you were made to work. Why then are you staying in bed as though you were made for sleeping? He wasn't just talking about physical rest, but about the purpose of each day. In the evening, as you prepare for sleep, ask yourself, what's one thing you can reflect on tonight to improve your focus tomorrow? Maybe it's a habit you want to break or a goal you want to pursue more intentionally. This simple act of reflection isn't just a Stoic practice, it's a tool for reclaiming your focus and living with greater purpose. Focus is a test of patience. In a world that moves at breakneck speed, waiting feels like a luxury we can't afford. But the Stoics understood something profound. Patience isn't just a virtue, it's a skill, a discipline, and a cornerstone of maintaining focus in a distracted world. Marcus Aurelius, one of Stoicism's greatest thinkers, often wrote about enduring challenges with calm. He reminded himself that obstacles are part of life, and how we meet them, whether with frustration or patience, shapes our ability to stay on course. Think about it this way: when you're working on a creative project, inspiration doesn't always strike on demand. You might sit down to write, paint, or brainstorm, and nothing happens. The Stoic approach wouldn't be to force it or give up in frustration. Instead, it's about sitting with the discomfort of waiting, trusting that clarity will come in its own time. Patience here isn't passive, it's an active choice to resist distraction and stay committed to the process. Consider the patience required in everyday moments. Maybe you're stuck in a long line, waiting for a response to an important email, or trying to master a new skill that doesn't come easily. These are all opportunities to practice what the Stoics called apatheia, a state of mind free from destructive emotions like impatience or irritation. By cultivating patience, you're not just enduring the moment, you're training yourself to stay focused on what truly matters, even when progress feels slow. So where do you need more patience to stay focused? Is it in your work, your relationships, or your personal growth? The Stoics would encourage you to see these moments not as barriers, but as exercises in discipline. Every time you choose patience over frustration, you're strengthening your ability to stay present, to stay focused, and to move forward with purpose. How often do you seek silence? In a world that's constantly buzzing with notifications, conversations, and background noise, silence has become something we actively avoid. But what if I told you that silence is not just the absence of sound? It's a powerful tool for sharpening your focus and reclaiming your mental clarity. The Stoics understood this deeply. Seneca, one of the great Stoic philosophers, often wrote about the value of solitude and quiet moments. He saw them as essential for reflection, self-awareness, and strengthening the mind. In his letters, he encouraged his readers to step away from the chaos of daily life, even if just for a short time, to recenter themselves. Silence, according to Seneca, allows us to hear our own thoughts clearly. It's in these moments of stillness that we can untangle the mental clutter and regain perspective. Think about it. When was the last time you sat in complete silence, without distractions, without trying to multitask? It's harder than it sounds, but that's exactly what makes it so valuable. Try this simple practice. Spend just 10 minutes each day in silence. No music, no screens, no conversation. Sit quietly, breathe deeply, and let your mind settle. You'll be surprised at how quickly this small habit can help you regain focus and clarity. In a noisy world, silence becomes a refuge. It's not about shutting out the world permanently. It's about creating space for yourself to think, to prioritize, and to connect with your inner self. So how can silence help you regain focus? It gives you the chance to step back, to see the bigger picture, and to approach your tasks and decisions with a calm, clear mind. The next time you feel overwhelmed by the noise around you, remember that silence is not just a luxury, it's a necessity for staying focused and grounded. Multitasking is the enemy of focus. It's a bold statement, but one that the Stoics would wholeheartedly agree with. In a world that constantly demands our attention in 100 different directions, the ancient Stoics championed a radically different approach: single tasking. They believed that by focusing on one thing at a time, we not only perform better but also find greater clarity and peace in our actions. Epictetus, one of the great Stoic teachers, put it simply: do one thing at a time and do it well. This isn't just practical advice, it's a profound reminder that scattering our attention dilutes our effectiveness and robs us of the depth that comes from true presence. Think about it. How often do we try to juggle multiple tasks only to end up doing none of them particularly well? Checking your phone during a conversation, for example, might seem harmless, but it splits your focus. You're not fully listening to the person in front of you, and you're not fully engaged with whatever's on your screen. The Stoics would argue that this divided attention leaves you halfway present in two places, yet fully absent in both. By contrast, giving your undivided attention to a single task, whether it's a conversation, a project, or even a moment of rest, allows you to engage with it fully and meaningfully. So, what's one task you can commit to doing fully today? It could be something as simple as savoring your morning coffee without scrolling through your phone, or as significant as dedicating an uninterrupted hour to a creative project. The key is to choose one thing and give it your complete attention. This isn't just about productivity, it's about reclaiming your focus in a distracted world. When you embrace single tasking, you're not only honoring the Stoic principle of doing one thing well, you're also rediscovering the power of presence in every moment. Discipline is the foundation of focus. Without it, even the best intentions can crumble under the weight of distractions. The Stoics understood this deeply. They saw self-discipline as the bedrock of a purposeful life, a tool to train the mind and sharpen attention. Marcus Aurelius, one of history's most renowned Stoic thinkers, often reflected on self-control in his meditations. He wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength." For him, discipline wasn't about punishment or restriction. It was about mastering the self, about choosing where to direct energy and attention, even when the world around us pulls in countless directions. So, how can we apply this wisdom today? Start small. Set a timer for a focused work session, maybe 25 minutes, and commit to staying fully present on the task at hand. Notice how the mind resists, how it craves the distraction of a phone or the comfort of procrastination. That's where discipline steps in. It's not about ignoring the urge to wander, but about gently guiding your focus back again and again. Over time, this practice builds mental muscle, making it easier to stay on track even in a world filled with noise. But here's a question to reflect on. What's one area in your life where you need more discipline to stay focused? Is it your work, your studies, or even your personal relationships? Identifying that area is the first step toward cultivating the kind of discipline that the Stoics championed, one that leads not just to productivity, but to a deeper sense of clarity and purpose. Are you using your time wisely? It's a question that might feel uncomfortable, but it's one the Stoics would urge you to ask yourself regularly. For them, time wasn't just a resource, it was the most precious one we have. Seneca, one of Stoicism's most influential thinkers, put it plainly, "Life is long if you know how to use it, but so many of us waste it on distractions, trivialities, or tasks that don't truly matter." The Stoics believed that every moment is a gift, and how we choose to spend it defines the quality of our lives. Seneca's letters are filled with reminders about the brevity of life. He wrote that we often act as if we have an endless supply of time, postponing what's important for a future that isn't guaranteed. But here's the thing, time once gone can never be recovered. Imagine it like a jar of sand. Every grain that falls is one you'll never get back. The Stoic approach isn't about living in fear of wasting time, but about living with intention. It's about asking yourself, does this align with what truly matters to me? Let's take an example. Think about a typical day. How much of it is spent on things that don't serve your goals or values? Scrolling endlessly, worrying about things outside your control, or saying yes to obligations that drain you. The Stoics would challenge you to cut through the noise and focus on what's essential. Prioritize tasks that move you closer to your purpose and let go of what doesn't. It's not about doing more, it's about doing what's meaningful. So, what's one way you can use your time more intentionally today? Maybe it's setting aside an hour to work on a passion project, or perhaps it's simply giving yourself permission to rest without guilt. The key is to make each moment count, not by filling it with activity, but by ensuring it aligns with your deeper values. Time is fleeting, but when we use it wisely, we can create a life that feels rich, purposeful, and truly our own. Now, let's talk about one of the most powerful tools the Stoics relied on to stay focused in a world full of distractions: self-reflection. At its core, self-reflection is about carving out time to look inward and examine your thoughts, actions, and the patterns that shape your daily life. The Stoics believed that true clarity and focus begin with understanding yourself deeply. Epictetus, one of the great Stoic teachers, often emphasized the importance of regularly examining our mind. He taught that by doing so, we can identify what truly matters and what's simply noise pulling us away from our goals. Think about it. How often do we pause to ask ourselves why we're feeling distracted or overwhelmed? The Stoics didn't just stumble upon focus by accident. They actively practiced introspection to uncover the root of their distractions. This isn't about judging yourself harshly, but about observing with curiosity and honesty. What are the thoughts or habits that derail your attention? Are you chasing things that don't align with your values or goals? These are the kinds of questions that self-reflection invites. A practical way to start this practice is through journaling. Take a few minutes each day to write about your focus challenges. What pulled your attention away today? Was it a specific task, a person, or even a recurring thought? Journaling helps you spot patterns over time, giving you the insight to make intentional changes. For instance, if you notice that social media consistently disrupts your workflow, you can create strategies to minimize its impact. Here's a question to reflect on. What's one insight you've gained from examining your focus challenges? Maybe you've realized that multitasking isn't as effective as you thought, or perhaps you've discovered that certain environments help you stay in the zone. These insights are invaluable because they empower you to take control of your attention rather than letting distractions dictate your day. The beauty of self-reflection is that it's a practice, not a one-time event. The more you engage with it, the more attuned you become to your inner workings. Over time, you'll find it easier to catch distractions before they take hold and to realign yourself with what truly deserves your focus. This is how the Stoics cultivated the mental discipline to thrive in a chaotic world, and it's a practice that can transform how you approach your own life. Rest is not laziness but a necessity for focus. The Stoics understood this deeply, emphasizing the importance of balance between effort and recovery. Marcus Aurelius, one of the most renowned Stoic philosophers, often reflected on the need to step back and recharge. In his writings, he reminds us that even the strongest minds require moments of stillness to function at their best. It's not about avoiding work, but about creating the conditions for sustained clarity and effectiveness. Think about it this way: just as a bow needs to be unstrung to maintain its strength, your mind needs rest to remain sharp. Pushing yourself relentlessly without breaks leads to diminishing returns. Instead, Stoicism teaches us to view rest as a strategic tool. Short, intentional pauses during work, whether it's a few minutes of deep breathing or a walk outside, can rejuvenate your focus and help you return to your tasks with renewed energy. Marcus Aurelius himself practiced this principle, carving out quiet moments in his demanding role as emperor. He didn't see rest as a luxury, but as a vital part of his ability to lead and think clearly. This approach isn't just historical wisdom, modern science supports it too. Studies show that taking regular breaks can improve productivity, creativity, and mental resilience. So, how can you incorporate rest to improve your focus? Start small. Integrate brief pauses into your daily routine. Step away from your desk, close your eyes, or simply sit in silence for a few moments. The key is to be intentional about it. Use these breaks to reset, not to distract yourself further. By embracing this Stoic practice, you'll find that rest isn't the enemy of productivity, but its ally. It's about working smarter, not harder, and giving yourself the space to thrive. Are your goals aligned with your focus, or are they pulling you in directions that scatter your energy? The Stoics understood that setting meaningful goals is essential for maintaining clarity and purpose in a world filled with distractions. Seneca, one of the great Stoic philosophers, emphasized the importance of pursuing what truly matters. He warned against chasing superficial ambitions, urging us instead to focus on goals that align with our deepest values and contribute to our growth. Imagine your attention as a finite resource like a cup of water. If you pour it into too many shallow containers, you'll end up with little to show for it. But if you direct it toward a single, meaningful goal, you can create something substantial. The Stoic approach to goals is about quality over quantity. Instead of setting dozens of vague objectives, they encourage choosing a few that resonate with your core principles and dedicating your full attention to them. A practical way to apply this is by reviewing your goals weekly. Take a moment to reflect. Are they still aligned with what matters most to you? Are they guiding your focus in a way that serves your long-term vision? This simple practice can help you stay on track and prevent your energy from being drained by pursuits that don't truly matter. So, what's one goal you can focus on this week to bring clarity to your life? It doesn't have to be grand or life-changing. It could be as simple as dedicating time to a meaningful project, improving a skill, or nurturing a relationship. The key is to choose something that feels purposeful and commit to it wholeheartedly. By doing so, you're not just achieving a goal, you're training your ability to focus on what truly matters, just as the Stoics taught. We focus better when surrounded by the right people. This isn't just a modern idea, it's a principle the Stoics understood deeply. They believed that the company we keep has a profound impact on our ability to stay focused, grow, and live with purpose. Epictetus, one of the great Stoic philosophers, emphasized the importance of choosing our companions wisely. He taught that we become like the people we spend the most time with, absorbing their habits, attitudes, and even their distractions. If you surround yourself with individuals who are disciplined, driven, and aligned with your goals, you're far more likely to stay on track. But if your circle is filled with distractions or negativity, maintaining focus becomes an uphill battle. Think about it this way: if you're trying to study, joining a group where everyone is committed to learning creates an environment of shared focus. Or, if you're working toward a personal goal, having an accountability partner can provide the encouragement and structure you need to stay consistent. The Stoics weren't just talking about avoiding bad influences. They were advocating for actively seeking out people who inspire and challenge you to be your best self. So, let's take a moment to reflect. Who in your life helps you stay focused? Are there people who encourage your growth, or do you find yourself pulled off course by their habits? Being intentional about the relationships you nurture isn't selfish, it's a practical step toward creating a life of clarity and purpose. The Stoics remind us that community isn't just about connection, it's about choosing the kind of influence that helps us thrive. How can gratitude sharpen your focus? It might sound unexpected, but the Stoics believed that gratitude was a powerful tool for staying present and motivated. Marcus Aurelius, one of the most famous Stoic philosophers, often reflected in his meditations on the importance of appreciating even the smallest things in life. He wrote that by focusing on what we have rather than what we lack, we cultivate a mindset of contentment and clarity, one that keeps distractions at bay. When we're grateful, we're anchored in the present moment, not pulled away by worries about the future or regrets about the past. Think about it this way: gratitude is like a mental reset button. When you pause to recognize the good in your life, no matter how small, you're training your mind to prioritize what truly matters. This practice doesn't just make you feel better emotionally, it sharpens your focus by reminding you of the purpose behind your actions. For instance, Marcus Aurelius would start his day by mentally listing things he was thankful for, from the people in his life to the opportunities he had. This simple act set the tone for his entire day, keeping him grounded and intentional. So, how can you incorporate gratitude into your own life? One practical Stoic exercise is to write thank you notes, not just to others but to yourself. Reflect on the people, experiences, or even challenges that have shaped you in meaningful ways. Or take a moment each morning to jot down one thing you're grateful for. It could be as simple as a quiet moment with your coffee or the support of a loved one. Over time, this practice builds a habit of mindfulness that strengthens your ability to stay focused amidst chaos. What's one thing you're grateful for that helps you focus? It could be a person, a routine, or even a small daily pleasure. Recognizing it is the first step toward harnessing the power of gratitude to stay centered and driven. Challenges are opportunities to strengthen your focus. This core Stoic belief transforms the way we perceive obstacles not as barriers, but as tests of our attention and resolve. For the Stoics, every difficulty was a chance to practice and refine focus, to train the mind to remain steady even when external circumstances were chaotic. Epictetus, one of the great Stoic philosophers, put it simply, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." He taught that challenges are inevitable, but our response to them is where true growth happens. Think about a task that feels overwhelming or tedious, something you've been avoiding because it seems too difficult or time-consuming. The Stoic approach would be to lean into that task not as a burden but as an exercise in focus. Every moment you commit to it, every distraction you resist, becomes a small victory in building mental discipline. For example, imagine you're working on a complex project and your mind keeps drifting to easier, more enjoyable activities. Instead of giving in, you deliberately anchor your attention to the task at hand, reminding yourself that this is an opportunity to strengthen your focus muscles. So, what challenge can you turn into a focus exercise today? It doesn't have to be monumental. It could be as simple as staying present during a monotonous chore or remaining calm during a frustrating conversation. The key is to reframe the challenge as a teacher, one that's here to help you grow. By adopting this mindset, you transform obstacles into stepping stones, building resilience and focus with every step you take. Does your routine support your focus, or is it quietly working against you? The Stoics understood that attention is a limited resource, and they knew that without intentional habits it could easily be squandered. Seneca, one of the great Stoic thinkers, often wrote about the importance of structure in our daily lives. He believed that a well-crafted routine wasn't just a way to manage time, it was a tool for cultivating discipline and clarity. Imagine your day as a series of moments. Without a framework, those moments can feel scattered, leaving you reactive instead of deliberate. But with a routine, you create a foundation that allows you to step into each task with purpose. Take, for example, the practice of starting your day with a single focused task. It doesn't have to be grand or time-consuming. It could be as simple as writing down your priorities or spending 5 minutes in quiet reflection. This small act sets the tone for the hours ahead, anchoring your mind before distractions have a chance to take hold. The Stoics didn't rely on willpower alone. They built systems that made focus inevitable. Think about your own life. What's one routine you could establish to improve your focus? Maybe it's carving out uninterrupted time to work on a project or deciding to turn off notifications during certain hours. The key is consistency. A routine isn't about perfection, it's about creating a rhythm that helps you stay aligned with what truly matters. And here's the beauty of it, over time, these habits become second nature. They become the scaffolding that holds your attention steady, even in a world full of noise. So, what's one small change you could make today to build a routine that supports your focus? Start there. Let that be your first step toward mastering the art of attention, just as the Stoics did. So, let's bring it all together. Throughout this video, we've explored how Stoicism offers a powerful framework for staying focused in a world that's constantly pulling us in every direction. We've talked about cognitive detachment, the ability to step back from distractions and observe them without being ruled by them. we've discussed resilience, the strength to endure challenges without losing sight of what truly matters. And we've emphasized presence, the practice of being fully engaged in the moment, free from the noise of the past and the anxieties of the future. These principles aren't just lofty ideas, they're tools you can use every day to sharpen your focus and reclaim your mental clarity. As the Stoic philosopher Epictetus once said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." This quote reminds us that true freedom comes from mastering our own minds, not from controlling the external world, but from cultivating the discipline to focus on what's within our power. It's a skill, and like any skill, it takes practice. Start small. Reflect on the distractions that pull you away from your goals. Identify the thoughts and habits that disrupt your focus. Then apply these Stoic principles step by step. Over time, you'll find that staying focused becomes less about battling distractions and more about building a mindset that naturally resists them. Before we wrap up, I want to leave you with a question to reflect on. What's one area of your life where you could use more focus? Whether it's your work, your relationships, or your personal growth, think about how you can bring these Stoic practices into that space. And if you found this video helpful, don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell for more insights on living a purposeful, focused life through Stoicism. Thanks for watching. Here's to mastering your mind and staying focused in a distracted world.